What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with a quick video. Some users were leaving comments asking me what I thought of a particular fight. I've already been on record kind of explaining my side, but for those of you who may not have seen those videos, I will let you know. That was referring to the Gennady Golovkin Triple G and Curtis Stevens bout, and that's at Madison Square Garden in New York City on November 2nd. This is a good matchup. I want to see it. Some people complain. They said Gennady Golovkin's going to run through Curtis Stevens. And if he does, great. I'm okay with that. I think it's an intriguing matchup. One, because Team Golovkin said nobody wants to fight Triple G, and people were ducking him. They said a lot of people have not wanted to face him. And they may be right. But here you have a guy who has punching power, Curtis Stevens. Not saying he's going to win, but he has punching power. He's taken losses earlier. He's been stopped earlier. But in recent memory, he's been looking better, and he's had some highlight reel knockouts. And he's saying, hey, I want to fight Gennady Golovkin. I'm not afraid of this dude. I'm going to put his lights out. So I would rather see a fight like that than Gennady Golovkin versus Ishida or Macklin. When I heard the Macklin fight, I was like, oh, this is going to be a good test. But the way Macklin fought, once he felt the power, he did fight pretty scared. And maybe other fighters will continue fighting like that once they feel the tremendous power of Gennady Golovkin. However, at least right now, Curtis Stevens is calling Gennady Golovkin out, and he's saying he wants the bout. And for those reasons, I'm all for it. Gennady Golovkin is still looking for a step up, not career 154 pounders like Ishida or Gabriel Rosado, who put up a valiant effort and tried, but they don't have anywhere near the punching power at 154, let alone 160, nor do they have the boxing prowess to keep them out of trouble. Gabriel Rosado, he's a fighter I like. He's one of the Philly fighters, the throwback Philly fighters that fights from the heart. He's gritty. He could tough it out. He could take a punch. But he doesn't have, quote unquote, an elusive style or something that would cause too many problems for Gennady Golovkin. Even though he did look pretty good in that fight, especially moving up in weight, he doesn't have the style that I feel would rival Gennady Golovkin, what he brings to the table, if that makes any sense. So Curtis Stevens, he says he's a boxer. He says he has a devastating left hook. We've seen his knockout power. Let's make the fight. Again, I can't make a case for Gennady Golovkin fighting on the main card against Ishida, who has no punching power. If you look at his KO record and percentage, is a career 154 pounder, but you're not willing to see this. I don't understand it. It makes perfect sense to me. Both power punchers, both fighters with highlight knockout reels. Curtis Stevens is a fighter from New York. This is going to take place where else? Madison Square Garden. I'm sure they can get some Brooklynites and just different people through the five boroughs to come out to support Curtis Stevens or Gennady Golovkin, whoever they prefer. So, like I said, I'm all for this matchup, especially since Gennady Golovkin is fighting so many times this year, and there's plenty of opponents that he can't fight. Darren Barker just won. He had a tough fight with Gil, and he said he's taking time off with his family, so a fight with him doesn't look likely. Peter Quillen is with Golden Boy. I don't know if they'd be able to make a fight easily with Gennady Golovkin. Sergio Martinez is out for the remainder of the year, so he's out till until 2014. So he wouldn't be able to fight. He couldn't have fought Gennady Golovkin this year. Chavez Jr. balloons up in weight and was over 200 pounds. So his next fight against Brian Vera is at a catch weight. Plus, even if he wins that fight against Brian Vera, there's not enough time for him to really train against an opponent like Gennady Golovkin in November. So realistically, this is a fight that can be made, and I have no problem seeing it. So one thing I did notice from the picture that I displayed above is Curtis Stevens is really short for that division. I know he has knockout power, and it's not all about height. We've seen that in the Guillermo Rigondeaux versus Nonito Donaire. Donaire looked like he was towering over Rigondeaux, but Rigondeaux put on a class. Not comparing Curtis Stevens to Rigondeaux because they're two different fighters, two different weight classes, two different styles completely. I'm just saying height, bulk, weight, punching power, all that stuff doesn't matter if you're matched with the right opponent. There's been plenty of fighters who Sergio Martinez wasn't taller than Paul Williams, but he laid him out. You know what I mean? So It's not merely about height only, but that is an added advantage for Gennady Golovkin, who also has tremendous punching power, a hell of an amateur background. Um, I'm kind of worried for Curtis Stevens. How is he going to get on the inside? Like I said, he says he has the power to do it. We shall see. Either way, I think that fight will end in a stoppage or a knockout. Um, I would put my money on Gennady Golovkin. This is not my official prediction, but I would put my money with Gennady Golovkin. But you never know in the sport of boxing. There's been a lot of fighters who have been stopped and went on to do good things. If you look at Hasim Rahman, he had been stopped by David Tua before. He was stopped by another fighter, and then he went on to knock out Lennox Lewis, even though Lennox Lewis rematched him later that year and knocked him back out, but he still did it, and that was after the David Tua loss. So even though Curtis Stevens lost, he is in the process of rebuilding. He's been stopped before. Obviously, he's in there with a lethal puncher, but just because he has a stoppage loss doesn't mean anything. Sometimes it takes those losses for certain people to train harder or get their shit in gear and come back stronger. So it really just depends on the individual. A loss doesn't define you. Some people can't come back from TKO losses and still look good. And it looks like Curtis Stevens is on the up and coming. He looks good against the level opponents that they put him in front of. So we'll see what he looks like against Gennady Golovkin, someone who's getting a lot of praise. Right now, I'd put my money on Gennady Golovkin. He has probably more power. He is taller, obviously, and he's probably faced different styles in the amateurs and whatever, so experience is there. At the same rate, like I said, if Curtis Stevens does win and knock Gennady Golovkin out or stop him, I wouldn't be surprised with that either, because this is, like I said, the styles make matches. Gennady Golovkin has been in there with softer punchers. Like, name one person who Gennady Golovkin, non-amateur, has been in there with who punches harder than Curtis Stevens at 160. So leave a comment and let me know what you think. I think it's a good fight where either fighter could win. It's just a matter of who imposes their will and that kind of thing. So let me know what you guys think of this fight. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video's Ego signing off.